So while SQL does not have difference or intersect, it has other operators, and I was doing the in the last class. So let's look at another query which uses the in operator. So I just want you to figure out what the output of this query is. So select pname from project where D number is not in, and then this is the nested query. Select D number. From department location. So what would the output of this query be for the company database? Just let me just. So if you look at the company database, what would the output for this query be? Anyone? What would the output be? Okay, so, or just say what does this query really do? Does anyone want to respond or?
Sorry, still looking at it.
Shouldn't it select all the projects that are in a location other than what's listed in department location?
Yes, that's correct. So it is outputting projects that are not in the same location as the department, but for our sample database, so we'll get an empty data set. Yeah, I guess that's the odd. When we are in class, it's easy to see people and see whether they've figured out the query or not. So I'm not, when we're distant, it's difficult to know that. But so that's what this query will do. It outputs projects that are not in the same location as the department number. So for the sample database, you're going to get an empty set. If you want to see an output, just update the project and just change one of the, so I've done the update command. So you could just, just do an update project and then just change one of the locations and then try dot set. Let's say P location is equal to let's say Bel Air. Speed number. Okay, so then you'll get this as an output. But so that's what in general you should do also for assignments. If there are queries that give you null sets, just add date or update or delete, do something like that so that you get some kind of output. Okay, so let me do another query and I just want you to see what the output of this query is going to be. Or let me just, okay, so this one is, I'm not going to use the N, so say select ESSN. So this one you've seen before, where D number is equal to 4 P num, I should say and. Okay, so select ESSN from works and project where D number is equal to 4 and P number is equal to number. So, all I want you to do is to put out the output for the sample database. What would the output of this query be in this from the company sample database? Let's try it out. Okay, so this is the output that you should be getting for the sample database. So it's really listing the social security number of employees who work on a project in Department 4. So list SSN of employees who work on a project in Department 4. Okay, so that's the output for this particular query. So, and if I did the same query using the in operator, it would be select ESSN. So by this point, it should be clear that you can do queries in many, many ways. So from works on, where P number in, and then you have the subqueries. So we have P number from project, where D num is equal to 4. Okay, so this the second query using in does exactly the same thing that the previous query does. It'll give you exactly the same output. So now instead of in, suppose I change the in to a not in. Can you write down the output from the sample database if the query is select ESSN from works on with P number not in, and then the subquery. So I want you to try that out. Just give me the output. So is this the output that, has anyone got a different output than this? Did everyone get this output? So the thing is, this output is incorrect. This is not the output you would get. So I want you to go back. Yes, go ahead.
It should be everything except for you have what you have highlighted in red, I believe.
Just 1 second. So yeah, so that right now I've got all that. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 6, 6, 6, 8. I have 4, 5, 3, 4. I have 8, 8, 8, 6. So with what are the, so this is not, there should be more than this. I am missing some. So these are the ones I've selected. So I'll just mark out the ones I've selected from the
I mean, it
group.
would pick up the 987.
So I've selected all of these. Yeah, go ahead.
98765 there should be in there too, right?
So I've got this one. So far I picked up these. So you said it should also pick up 9876.
Yep.
Okay, so let me write that down. So we have,
And do we have the 334?
Yeah, and the 3, 3,
yes,
4.
that's right.
Yeah.
It should also have the 3, 3, 3, 4. So this should be the output. So because you have, that has in 3, 4. So you have to get this one too. And you have 3, 3, 3, 4 in 10, 20. So what this one does is that it is, while the previous one selected outputs projects, where is it? Okay, so this first one, I didn't write down what this one did. Select yes. So this previous query, let me just write it down. I missed that out. So these two queries, so we have, just a minute. So if I write it in words, this query did. So what this is doing is, oh, I did write it down out here. I forgot. So here I'm listing, I forgot, I didn't see it. List social security number of employees who work on a project in department number 4. That's what this, when you have in, it does this part. It does list social security number of employees who work on a project in department 4. And when you do not in, so when you use not in, what it's doing is list SSN of employees who work in at least one project that is not controlled by department 4. So in one project that is not in department 4. So that's what, when you put a not in, it will list employees who work in at least one project that is not controlled in department 4. So what I want is, suppose this is what I want you to do. So the one that I want you to do is query list SSN of employees who do not work on any project controlled by department 4. Okay, so the not in, what it did, it listed employees who work in at least one project that is not in department 4. But suppose I want to list the employees who do not work on any project controlled by department number 4. So what I want is, I don't want to show, So I don't want this part. So I want the output to be just, so this is the output that I want. So the output should be, so suppose I want just the output that is shown in green. So how do you do that? So I just want you to think about it for a few seconds. I will write down the solution, but I just want you to think about it a minute. Okay, so this was something we've done often in kind of relational algebra. This is kind of very easy to do because all you're trying to do is you're picking up a set, the employee table, and this has all the social security numbers in the employee table. And then you minus that from, so you minus that from this output, right? Just once. Okay, so what we want is you want to take all the social security numbers and then we want to minus that from these, because this is listing all the employees who work in at least, no, this one is outputting all the employees that work in, what God, yes, list social security number of employees who work on a project in Department 4. So that's the one out there. So let me just pull it out. So we have, so let me call that query 1. So okay, and and so we have, so this is the query 1. So if you're doing this in relational algebra, all you have to do is you take the employee table and then you minus it from the output of query 1 that we just did. So I just want to ask a question before I continue. Why did I use the employee table? Why didn't I mean, instead of using the employee table, what if I had said works on table? Would that give you the correct answer? Why employee? Why not works on?
Because you want all the employees that didn't work, all those SSNs.
Yes, you want all the SSNs. And so it's possible that there are some employees who are not working on any project. So the works on table might have employees. I mean, the works on table may not list all the employees. So that's why it's a better idea to use the employee table and not the works on table. Because if you use the employee table, if you use the works on table, you're going to miss the employees who are not working on any projects. So that's why you do this. So this is how you would do this project in relational, I mean, this query in relational algebra. But because SQL does not have difference, we have to use the not an operator. So in order to do this query in SQL, you would do it like this. You would do, so where SSN not n, and then out here you write down query 1, which is could do either one. I'm going to do the first one because with the join. So, so this one will work. So this is just this query one. So here I picked up this query, but you could have also put down this one. You know, instead of putting the not in, you could have put in there. So either one was fine. So this is going to give you the output for list social security number of employees who do not work on any project controlled by Department 4. So did everyone, does anyone have any questions? Did you understand this query and how it works? So even if you don't have the difference operator, you can use the not in and it'll work fine. Okay, so again, let's do another variation of the same query. So this next one is, so who work on, and so this is the one, all, let me, didn't write that properly, who work on all projects controlled by Department 4. So now this is another variation. So so this is query number 4 actually. If I list them all out, just one second. So this was the first, this was query 1. This was query 2. This is query number 3, lists of who do not work on any project. And now we have query number 4. So they're all variations of the same query, but now I want list social security number of employees who work on all projects controlled by Department 4. So if we go back to this, to the sample database out here, so now we're looking at, so we have 10 and 30. So we have, so we're looking at just these 9, the only 2, the output for this one should be 9998 and 9879, because these are the only 2 queries because there are 2 projects controlled by department number 4, 10 and 30. So we want to be able to list 9998 and 9879. So how to do that in a relatively easy manner, you know, so so that's the, go ahead, go.
Oh, I was gonna say, are we gonna do 2 in statements with an and? Like 2 sub
Yeah, so
queries, basically?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to see. So we have, if you look at the outputs out here, we have 1, 2, you know, we have to see how to minus and minus because we are looking. So really what we want is from this set, we want So we want only this one and this one. And we don't want anything else. So you could do minus and minus, like you're saying, not in, because, if you look at this output and you look at this output, now if you, so we're really looking at things that are not, so it's like when you're doing, these two are not in this set. So you can do it with minus and minus, but there is a simpler way of doing it. And so that's what I wanted to motivate, is that, yes, it is possible, I guess, doing with minus and minus, and that not in and not in, you have to connect these subqueries together. But like I said, there are many ways of doing each query. And I would say the easiest way of doing this query is using a new operator that I haven't done so far. So this is a there exists operator. So the there exists, which you use in math. So there exists X element of A such that a condition is satisfied So this is an operator that we use in mathematics. So first, I just want to just show how this works is that, so let's suppose we have the set A. Which has 3 elements, 0, 1, and 2. So if you say there exists X element of A such that X is greater than 0. So that is true because there is 1 and 2 are there in the set. So this is true. Because there is an X element of A such that X is greater than 0. But if I said there does not exist X element of A such that X is greater than 0, that's a false statement. And if I said there exists X element of A such that X is less than 0, that's a false. There exists X element of A such that X is greater than 0. So I just wanted to write down what would be, so this would be false because there are no elements where X is less than 0 in the set A. And I should have said there does not exist, okay. And this is true, there does not exist an X element of A such that X is greater than 0. So, oh, I do less than 0 because I did greater than 0. So this is true. Okay, so these statements are, it's a standard, logical calculus, relational calculus. For the set A, all these statements that I made are true and false based on what is in the set A. And again, if you have an empty set A, so if A is equal to empty, and I said there exists X element of A, or there does not exist X element of A. So the first statement, there exists X element of A, is false because A is an empty set. And the second statement, there does not exist an X element of A, is true. And similarly, if A was a non-empty set, and I said the statement, there exists X element of A, and there does not exist X element of A. So the first statement, there exists X element of A, is true. and there does not exist X element of A is false. So, so that is I just wanted to, you know, go over what the exists and not exists does. So I hope everyone understands. This is just standard one, but if you don't understand, just ask me and I shall just explain what it means, because you need to understand what I wrote here in order to explain, in order to understand the SQL queries that use exists. So what I'm going to do is, before getting to this particular query, before solving query number 4, I want to do some simpler queries that we've done earlier, maybe in the last class using N. So all of those queries that I did using N, I'm going to try doing them with exists so that you can see, you know, the syntax of exists and how it works compared to the in statement. And remember, if you recall, when I was teaching the in statement, I did queries where I did them with join first. So that's what I was wanted to say. Like, you can do these queries in different ways. So all the queries I did with in, most of them I did them with join. And similarly, so now I'm going to show you with exists, which means that, that these are queries that I did with either with join and also with in. So they can be done in different ways. So let's start with one of those first queries that we did. So I'm going to just close don't need the company database. Okay, it's easier to write when it's not in tools. Okay, so we have, so list the first name of employees who work in departments located in Stafford or Bel Air. Okay, so I did this query with join and with in. Let me write down the query. So here I'm going to write down the query with in on the left. It is there in our last class, but it's too difficult for me to go searching. So I'm going to write it down with in first, and then show you how to do it with exists. So this would be select if name with D number in. Okay, so this was the query that I did using the in operator. So on the right, I'm going to do it with using exists. So we have select if name where. So now, instead of using where D number in, I'm going to use exists, where exists. And so now I'll write down the query. So select. So with exists, where in I was doing select D number, you just have to say select star. You don't have to specify anything out here because this is comparing with a set. So select star from department location where. Okay, so let me know. So where I'm just going to mark out the differences from the previous one where D location is equal to Stafford or Bel Air. Okay, so in the we pretty much ended out here, but in exist, you need to write more. So we say and to say D number is equal to from emp. So in the emp table, I think it was DNO. So DNO. So this is the query using the exist statement. So what this is doing is, so you look at this subquery out here. So out here, it's selecting star. So this is set that it's creating. So let me just create the output of the set. So we have, so the output of the subquery. So the output of the subquery with exist is going to be all the rows, select star. It's going to be a set from department location where D location is Stafford or D location is Bel Air. But then you have this very last part of it where D number is equal to DNO. So what it does is that it takes the very first row from the employee table. Which is, again, Stephen. So let me just pull that out. So it's picking up the very first row from the employee table, which is John 1. Okay, so, and so then it picks up, then it takes the department locations table, and then it keeps matching. So here you have where D number, so DNO, that's what the thing that you're matching. So you're looking at DNO out here, and then you're picking up the DNOs out here, and then it's picking out location Stafford and Bel Air. So we have, this is Bel Air and this is Stafford. So you have 1 and 10. So it picks that up. So you have, so for product X. So in this case, this table out here is empty because where D number is equal to DNO. So here the D number is 5. When you have Stafford out here, you have, oh yeah, you do, it's not empty because you do have D number is equal to 5 out here. So for the very first employee, F name John, the table is not empty. So we have, so let me just say, so we have John. So
shouldn't we be looking at the department location table, not the projects table?
oh, I was looking at, oh yes, sorry about that. I was looking at the wrong table.
That's all right.
Yes, you're right. We should be looking at this table out here. I went to the wrong table. Yeah, I went to the wrong table. Sorry about that. So then let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4 has 5. So it's Stafford is 4. So, and D number is not matching on that one. And Bel Air is 5. So we do have one where it does match out here. So the output here would be, so there's one row out here, select star from department location. So we have, so for 1, 2, 3, 4, we have 5. Bel Air. So in this case, when you say where exists, so there is, there is something in the set out here. It's a non-empty set. So 1, 2, 3, 4 will work out to be true. So it'll have an output. So, or, putting it in a math form, the way you would write this, this query, let me just, okay, so so for in, the way the in will map out is going to be, so for this one, if you write it in math, it's similar to saying print x element of m if x dot dno is an element of the department location. That is the way that the in operator does that. So if you look at tables, so let me just, if you look at these tables, so let's say this is the emp, and this is the department location table, but we have already done a short list for Bel Air or Stafford. So we have two sets or two tables, emp and the department location is equal to Bel Air or Stafford. So let's say that this is an X out here and this is a Y out here. So an element in the emp table is X and an element in the department table is a Y. So the first one, the in is similar to saying print X element of emp if X dot D number is an element of department location. So, so that's, but the second one with the exists, so this was with the in. Okay, but if you're going to do with exists, what this is equivalent to saying is print X element of M if there exists a Y element of, let's say, department location. So I'll just call this the location table such that X dot D number is equal to Y dot D number. So that's how the there exists actually works out. Is it does exactly the same thing as n, but it works in a slightly different manner. So do you think you have, just take a look at it and just see if you have understood at least what I've done. I'm not saying that you can duplicate it, but at least if you've understood what I did. So the one thing that's common in the in and the there exists is that in each case, when you have a subquery, how it works is that it takes line by line from the first table, the outer table. So in this case, the M table, and then it will match, it'll take the second table and then it'll go through the entire second table and see if there's anything that matches. So the way it works internally is very similar, the in and the there exists. So, so let me do one more, as I do, I want to do a few simple queries and just see if you understand. So again, I'm going to do a query that we've done earlier. So list employees without dependents. So list employees without dependents. And again, we've done this using the join, and we've done this with the in. So I'm going to do this with exists. So let me do it with the in first. I'm going to do that on the left like I did earlier. So we have select so where SSN not in, and then we have the subquery. Select ESSN from dependent. So, so what this is, so if I wrote this down in math, this is similar to saying print X element of M if x dot SSN is not an element of the dependent table. So that's the in part. Now, if I did this with exists, the way I would do it would be so here it would be where not exists, and then select star from dependent. So here you would have to write a condition too. So there's a little more than the previous case. So we would have to write where so in relational algebra, the way or relational calculus, this is equivalent to writing this would be writing print x element of M if there does not exist y element of dependent such that x dot SSN is equal to y dot SSN. So that's the difference in the two, is that when you use the in statement, you are looking if an element is not an element of the dependent. So you're getting a subquery and you're printing out a set, and then you compare whether your social security number falls in that set. But in there exists, it is, you have to say there does not exist a y element of dependent such that, and you have to compare the social security numbers. So that x dot SSN is equal to y dot SSN. So it's slightly done in a slightly different manner. So I'm going to do a few more examples. I'll do a few simple examples. So I would say that there exists is, the in is, let me see, I was trying to say, no, because sometimes, there are queries where typically any query that you can write with in and not in, you can write with exists. And I know that I just started doing exists, and so maybe it's once you start working with it, you will use either one, with in or there exists. But there are some queries. So exists is sometimes, all I wanted to say is that, yes, everything you write with in, you can pretty much write with exists, but there's some queries that it's easier to write with exists and not exists than using the in statement. So, but in general, these are all, queries can be written in different ways. So it depends on which one you want to use. So I will continue with there exists in the next class, but there will be a quiz in the next class. So the quiz will definitely not cover exists because unless you've actually done a few queries with exists yourself, it would be difficult to really understand it. So the quiz will contain SQL. I'm not yet sure whether I'll even put in the quiz. Most probably it'll only be join. I haven't prepared the quiz yet. So once I prepare the quiz, I'll put an announcement and just state what material. And I'm going to try to have the quiz with just the join, the simple join, because you haven't really done an assignment yet using SQL yet.